Taiece and Zoolander. Take one. Action.
My ears. Okay. But
Sorry.
no, it's all good. That's what I asked you to do. All right. Here we go. Yo, what do they call me? They call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah, they call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Hey.
And I look good on camera. You know I look good on camera. Now, yes, let me do this. Okay. So, here we go. Yo, what's up? It's your homie, Devin Zoolander, coming all the way live from my domicile. And today is a very special day because sitting to my right, I have someone that I've had my eye on, someone that I felt like when I first met her, this would be a person that I definitely need to work with. We have sitting to my right a person that is beautiful on the inside, a person that has a lot of skills and passion and motivation, and someone that is really, really positive, and someone that I really appreciate, someone that is family oriented, someone that is community oriented, someone that is unapologetically black, someone that I just really, really admire, and I'm so fortunate to have her sitting here with me on my show today. So I didn't take the liberty of memorizing any LinkedIn profiles or any Facebook profiles. So
I would hope not.
Yeah, what I'll just say is, without further ado, please put your hands together for the one and only Taiece Brooks. We'll add the applause.
Hello. I'm happy to be here, honestly. I know you question whether or not I genuinely wanted to be here, but I do.
Okay. Yeah. We going. That's your story. You sticking to it.
That's my story. That's the story I'm telling.
Right. That's the story you telling. All right. I mess with that. Well, like I said in the intro, is really nice to be sitting next to you. It's really nice to be talking with you. I'm glad that you. It's funny because your name is Taiece Brooks, but your hair is giving me Freddie Brooks. So it's a very nice.
I don't know who that is. You aged yourself.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that 8-year age gap. Okay. So have you ever heard of the show A Different World?
Yep.
Okay, so Freddie Brooks would be the free-spirited. She was actually not, to my knowledge, you're not biracial, but she was biracial, and she just had this, like, she was almost like a hippie, like a Zen meditator type person.
Yeah.
And like, just to show you a picture, man, someone is not doing their job.
Like very much Lisa Bonet from the Cosby Show.
Right.
What is her name? The character Lynn on Girlfriends.
Yeah, Lynn on Girlfriends.
Cool.
A little bit Sinclair from Living Single.
God, I love Sinclair.
And then now, if we want to extend this whole description a little bit further, you could maybe say Mona from Half and Half, although I just never really gravitated to Mona.
I never gravitated to the show in general, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I don't know. It was just more annoying to me, like just the characters. It feels like if you could take each one of them and put them on a better show, then they would thrive. But putting them all together, there isn't really like an alpha character where you're like, oh, I want to see that. Like if you like. Even though he's disgraced now, if you go back to the show that A Different World was a spinoff of, we're not talking about the legal stuff, but just talking about the show itself, Bill Cosby was someone that they could kind of surround the whole cast with. They were all funny too, but it's just like, or if you look at a show like Martin, where the thing about Martin that was so good though was that all of them were strong.
I feel what you're saying. It's kind of like the Jamie Foxx show, or like any of those shows that were based like. The titular character is at the center of it, and they can carry in and support an entire cast, kind of a thing. And I agree with you. Half and Half didn't really have. Nah. I think that the two stereotypical black female archetypes of the late 90s, early millennium are the two roles that they were both forced into playing, which automatically meant that they were in competition with each other, which in turn resulted in neither one of their characters being fully developed and kind of being embarrassing. Like, that show was hard to watch because they weren't relatable.
It was. And even if you want to get into, I think what I appreciate is that the 90s was really, obviously we can look at the 90s as being problematic. We can look at the 90s as being homophobic, transphobic. We can look at all those things, and all those things are accurate. I think the difference is that Martin, the Fresh Prince, they told their jokes that now we know wouldn't fly the same way today in a more mindful society, but they didn't have a gay character that was like, or a member of the LGBTQ plus community that was like a minstrel show. Because I think what happens is that sometimes in people's their desire to be more inclusionary, they say, okay, well, we have our lesbian character here. All right, that's cool and everything. It's just like, or we got our African character here. All right, that's good that you got it on Dear White People. But how is the African person being received by the rest of the cast?
Right. And I mean, I think the other part of that too is that those things and those contributions to diversity in the show and to the cast, those are not personality traits. Like, that's, being lesbian is not a personality trait. Being the African character is not a personality trait. There are cultural influences, yes. There are maybe tendencies that they may have as a result of those things, yes. But I think the cornerstone of those diversified characters in media and in television is that they are the gay character, or the black character, or the Indian character. Like, that's annoying.
Yeah,
frankly.
It's annoying. It's lazy. It's just like, I feel like, and also I feel like what's really, what people really need to recognize is that, I get it, we all have our own social media platforms, and we all feel like we got a soapbox and we can get up on it, and we know there's going to be people out there that are going to catch us if we fall, and they're going to support us. But I feel like, almost because in an effort to create more safe spaces for people that are diverse in their identities, I think that's a great thing. But sometimes what can happen is that people that don't have really the bandwidth, they don't really have just they're not equipped to really talk about these things. Now you have people swimming in waters that they shouldn't be swimming in, when in reality, I'm not saying that it's cool to be homophobic. I'm not saying it's cool to be bigoted in any way. But what I also don't think is cool is for someone to not truly believe something, but then to go really hard only to get exposed later, because everybody's going to get screenshotted if you say something wrong. Everybody, sooner or later, somebody's going to come out. And I just feel like now it's almost like you feel compelled. Like, to me, I look at it like this, like with the vaccine, for example, regardless of how people feel about it. If you're against it, then that's fine. But I think what happens is just like, sometimes pro and con when it comes to it. Like, sometimes people are just too loud, and it's like you're doing too much. And it's just like, even the people that are saying like, yo, this is a good thing, we need to get it, it's like, if you're constantly condescending people, if you're putting yourself on a pedestal and acting like, you know, I'm super intelligent and you're not, when you just learned about this just like everyone else. I just feel like right now, like, because we all have our own social media platforms, we just feel the need to talk when we don't always have to insert ourselves into every conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, I think America has done an excellent job of cultivating a democratic perspective.
Oh, and this is Freddie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it now. I definitely get it.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that America is the way that it is, and it encourages its citizens to be so vocal about certain things, and they include us in politics and you know, overall government-based decision-making, it makes people feel like they have the right, which they do, to comment on, speak about, or have opinions about anything. Now, having the freedom to speak and whether you should be speaking are two totally different things. Right. And I think that now anything can become a political statement. And I even made this this sort of reference to 9/11 because it happened a couple of days ago, and I was in a meeting and I was talking to some of my incredibly liberal but ultimately white and older male colleagues, and I equated it to like when 9/11 happened. I don't remember there being such a political and civil state of unrest when travel took a turn in terms of security, right? Like, because we were all able to be united against this one threat and this terroristic threat, and they encourage such patriotism in all of us. It's from the age that you can repeat things. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America every morning, singing the Star Spangled Banner or learning God Bless America for a school talent show or recital or pep rally or whatever. Like, those things are commonplace. So it's been bred in us to unite against things that cause harm to the entirety of the population. I don't understand why 9/11 was so easy for us to not. It wasn't an easy thing. It was traumatic and it was a tragedy, and it's terrible it happened. I still can't believe that it happened the way that it did. But when we needed to change as a nation in order to protect ourselves and one another,
we just accepted it.
But now that it's a virus, and because of the representation in government and in the presidency that we've had for the last so many years,
right,
everything as it relates to that has become some opportunity for political comeuppance. So now everybody is speaking about things that they should not be talking about because they feel vindicated. Like,
yeah, they feel like now, because like I told somebody this recently, like, we all as human beings, regardless of what your ideology is or our differences are between us, like, we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to be valued, we want our opinions to do that. And that's why, obviously in a harmful way, but if we're looking at it from a strategy perspective, like, Trump was able to speak to people that felt that way, regardless of whether or not he was evil or not. He was able to mobilize the base that he needed to in order to get what he wanted.
Absolutely. I think that's the scariest thing about the course of the political trajectory that we've been on, because you're talking about someone who doesn't really have any base in morality, no base in truth, no base in factual information, and they are able to not only monopolize or capitalize on, but commandeer other people's ignorance and use it to their benefit to cultivate support for generations to come. That is scary.
It is.
Because I've always felt like the American people were just so, like, devout in their core belief that they will not be led astray. Like, you're not going to tell me how to live my life. That's
right.
America.
Right.
So the fact that there's such a subsect of culture here that already felt certain things, and then they felt encouraged to feel them more deeply or feel those things out loud and ignore fact and live in a completely fantastical and fictional world for the entire duration of someone's presidency. That is horrific.
And that's why that actually reminds me of something I often thought about when I did a social justice and urban education fellowship a few years back. It was the Heinz Fellows program at Pitt. Yeah. So with that, though, we often did exercises where we said this is a safe space. So we have people that are I'm not sure if it was gender non-conforming or non-binary, but we had one individual that was male-bodied, but I believe they were non-binary, and we had someone in the group that was a lesbian. We had people that were black women, black men, and we just had all these different things going on, all these different kind of identities showing up in one space. And the moderator will always say before an exercise, like, okay, this is a safe space. But what happens is when you just make something a blanketed safe space, then people that believe, well, I believe that black people should do this, then they also will come back with, but I thought this was a safe space. So
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, and that's the funny thing. When you give people the opportunity to feel like they're able to say and do whatever they want to, they're going to do so with reckless abandon, and they're not going to think about what the repercussions are because you've told them that they're allowed to do it. Right?
Yeah.
Told them.
Yeah.
It makes me think about Kevin Hart when he talked about the teacher who was mean to him at school. Hello. Good morning. Yeah. Kevin, So, she staples the note to his chest. He goes home and his mom says, tell her to mind her damn business. And then the next day, Kevin goes to school and he says 73 cuss words in a span of like 10 seconds. Like, okay, but you told me to do that. No, that's not what I told you to do. Right. It's just everything is a safe space, and of course it's a safe space, but when you give people that kind of permission, they begin to negate the fact that their actions have repercussions.
Right.
And that they are also responsible for upholding the safety of that space for other people,
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that became a big conversation, and we should have all known this once it got to gender and things like that. It got to gender and sexuality related issues. Then it became something, and it really tested a lot of people's belief systems, because if you're someone that believes, well, there are only two genders, and you don't believe that gender is a social construct, and you believe that, yo, this is just the way it goes, like, no, man didn't make this, nature made this, or whatever, or you start going to animals, you start trying to pull at whatever you can, because you know that your foundation is beginning to crumble. And I know for me, like, I have my, like, when it comes to masculine presentation, or what it is to be a man, I know I'm wrestling with that a lot, because I know for me, I can go into Ulta or I can go into Sephora and I can be like, all right, I have your foundation, I have your blotting powder, I have your baking powder right now, and you know, that's it. You don't want any mascara. You don't want any of this. No rouge. No, I'm good right here. But I know for me, there's someone that could be looking at me and be like, "Oh, you're wearing that," and then there's somebody that could be looking at him and be like, "Oh, you didn't play football," and it's just like this never-ending thing.
Yeah.
And I just find that what happened is we were in a room where the folks that were part of the queer community that were on our staff and everything, and others that considered themselves not in the community but to be allies to the community, then they would be like, oh yeah, this is the right way to do it, this is the right way. And then you have another side, and I hate to use the H word, but there's another side that might fall into what some folks may call the Hotep side, where it's just kind of like, no, that's a Europe. Anytime it's something with sexuality, it's like that's a European concept. But then when it comes to things like polygamy, that's an African concept. Yeah. And it's like whatever you want to tell yourself. And because we have so much confirmation bias, so we only look up information that supports us, which is something I want to ask you about, because I interviewed Natalie Bensavenga recently, and she is a journalist, and she is very focused, an Italian woman who is focused on helping to amplify, I don't want to say amplify, but helping to amplify the voices of people from Black and brown communities. And she talked a lot about the democratization of media, and she was saying about how are there some drawbacks, because, and we started coming at like, oh, well, you're a journalist, but that person is putting out all the news and they don't have a journalism degree. So I wanted to ask you, not only do we have to worry about people in positions of power like your Trumps or whoever else that have access to the media and that can play on the emotions of people that are really fed up, but what does it mean when you have people that are kind of like the minions that can put out information that is just straight up false?
That is, it's incredibly hurtful. I mean, especially you have to think about the like intersection that I exist in, right? I'm Black, gay, and female. If there are 3 strikes you could have in America that counts you out of the social baseball game, I struck out, period. So when it comes to people who have a voice and have a platform speaking on things that they really should not be speaking on, or should not be coming from a place of education, or coming from a place of, well, no, I really want you to understand that this is really how it is. We live in a time where a TikTok could become the basis for someone's moral compass. Mm-hmm.